What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Movie Dive. Today we're going to be diving into our top 10 best and top 10 worst films of 2025. Thanks for joining me throughout the whole year. Don't forget, this is my list and my opinions. Please share yours in the comments down below. Now, I know some of these ratings and rankings might have changed throughout the year. That's what happens when you don't have recency bias and some time goes by. You get to think about if you liked or disliked the movie more or less. With that being said, don't forget to subscribe to the Movie Dive. Comment down below with your favorites and worst of the year. Let's get started. All right, welcome back, Movie Dive. We got Matthew again here. I remember last time we did this was probably one battle after another. These years go by super fast. So we're doing our top 10 best, top 10 worst of the year. My rule for myself, I'm not going to be counting streaming movies. He will be adding streaming movies. He has a kid, another one coming. So he doesn't have time to go to the movies like I have time to go to the movies.
I've got that well covered. Don't you worry.
Yeah. 2025 overall, was it good, great, decent?
This was the year that independent and smaller movies kind of like rose to the fore. Like looking at what we reviewed last year for our best of 24, we both had Dune Part 2 number one, for example. Yeah. I don't have anything IP related on, well, at least, franchise IP on my top 10, for example. And I feel like, you think of the Marvel releases that came out this year, you think of the fact there was another year without Star Wars. They're still, I guess they're still shooting Fast and Furious 11. The best movies this year were smaller, and there was less of that attention and less of the gravity black hole of interest being sucked up by, franchises and IP.
We can get started here with our top 10 worst films of 2025. These were always fun. I'll go ahead and do my 10 through 6. I'll read them off right quick. We're not going to go deep into them. Number 10 is Minecraft. Number 9 is Wolfman. Number 8 is The Monkey. Number 7 is Snow White. And number 6 is Now You See Me, Now You Don't. I wish we talked about these more just so I could insult Now You See Me, Now You Don't. But yeah, those are my 10 through 6 movies. Snow White, by the way, the only movie I walked out of this year. Thanks, Gal Gadot.
My 10 through 6, 10 Opus, 9 Highest to Lowest, 8 The Gorge, 7 Him, and 6 Fountain of Youth.
I've heard him on a lot of lists so far from others. I never saw him. I never wanted to. I knew exactly what it was going to be by watching that trailer. So yeah, now we can get into our 5 through 1. Coming in at my number 5, we're coming in hot with Avatar Fire and Ash. I'm stating this right now that it is not rated as low as these other movies on the list, but a lot of what puts movies onto this list is, would I go back and watch that over this? And those other 10 through 6, I swear to you, if someone put a gun to my head, I'll go watch those over watching Avatar Fire and Ash again. Of course, it being 3 hours, 20 minutes long, I'm sure I'm going to get the comment that's like, I turned the video off right when you got to Avatar. It's the same movie over and over. The first one is commendable, and the second and third are the same exact movie, same exact climax, same exact final battle scene. This one, I guess, adds a decent villain that then they push to the side for most of the movie. The CGI, of course, looks great, but I don't want to watch CGI. So yeah, Avatar Fire and Ash, 3 hours, 20 minutes long. I was like pulling teeth.
I mean, I applaud you. It's not on my worst because I wasn't disappointed because I wasn't going in with huge expectations, honestly. So my number 5 is Holland. This was an Amazon Prime movie with Nicole Kidman. Really sums up where she's at, I guess, in her career and then also in her private life as well. So yeah, there you go.
Okay, so yeah, coming in at my number 4 is going to be Flight Risk, Mel Gibson and Mark Wahlberg. It reminds me of one of those like action movies you would find in like the $5 DVD box, at Walmart. That's kind of where it belongs. The first shot of it is obvious AI of an exterior of a hotel. Instead of just going to a hotel for half a day and shoot an exterior shot with like the worst CGI of an animal you've ever seen. And Mark Wahlberg, you can see like when they're filming the movie, you can see, because he has like this bald head, you can totally tell like the stubble that he just shaved right before shooting. And then you have he takes over the plane and the pilot is trying to safely get him to the ground. And she doesn't know how to fly because she's just a U.S. Marshal. The pilot died. And she's calling air traffic control. The air traffic control guy is some foreigner who's flirting with her while helping her land the plane for an hour and a half. It's ridiculous. And the fact that it's Mel Gibson too. Like, I mean, this guy's like, he's nuts, but he's a good director. Yeah, that's my number 4 is Flight Risk.
My number 4 is Alto Nights, also known as the Bobby De Niro × 2 experiment. So it's written by Nick Pileggi, who wrote Goodfellas, which is what got me interested at first. I'm blanking on the director's name, but he's done a lot of some like really good old school Hollywood. I feel like the average age of everyone that worked on this movie is 85. And that's not an exaggeration. And it tells in the pacing. The pacing is just, I mean, if you're struggling with sleep and you don't want to take melatonin because sleep aids mess with you, I would recommend putting this film on, because everyone is falling asleep while they're reading it, reading their script, and it feels like they're reading it straight off a script and not from their head. Just very dour and self-serious in a way which is hilarious, because Robert De Niro is playing 2 characters and 2 different characters. It's not like twins, it's not like Tom Hardy playing Ronnie Cray twins, in Legend. This is De Niro playing 2 very different characters.
All right. Well, my number 3 one, the great bait and switch of a trailer, and that'd be Karate Kid Legends. This is the trailer for this one here. I was texting you throughout this movie because I was so mad, because I remember thinking it's not going to be great, but it'll be at least a 3 out of 5. I was wrong. The trailer made it look like it was Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio teaming up to train a kid. Not the case at all. Jackie Chan showed up from the first 5 minutes of the movie, then disappeared for the next hour. And it was all about this kid in New York City who had to join a karate tournament. Of course, there's a typical bully and everything. Everything was an odd coincidence. It turned into him training some older pizza parlor guy to fight. It was wild. Like, where they lied to you. Ralph Macchio showed up for maybe 10 minutes in the movie, and it was just the oddest reason possible. The best part of the whole movie was post-credit scene where they just did a nice little Cobra Kai wink. That was the only entertaining part of the whole film. So yeah, my number 3 is Karate Kid Legends. Never watching that again.
My number 3 is sponsored by Amazon Prime, and it is War of the Worlds, starring your boy Ice Cube. It really should be number 1 because it is just an abomination. I think the reason it's number 1 is because it was made. I think the fact that it exists is quite singular. It's absolutely wild that this thing is like released into the world. If you just like take it on surface value, it's kind of a laugh riot. It's kind of fun if you just like want to sit back and just like scoff at something for an hour and a half or whatever it is. But everyone is just, I don't know what psychedelics everyone like took before they like got on set. And when I say got on set, I mean opened their Zoom.
There was no set.
But at least you can get a memory card shipped to you by Amazon Prime in the middle of a huge global incident. So,
but you can't. That's the thing. Hey, well, speaking about terrible, god-awful nonsense, my number 2, I Know What You Did Last Summer. This is the 2025 version. Another movie I was texting you throughout. So angry. We're spoiling, by the way, on here. So yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr. comes back. Jennifer Love Hewitt comes back. They are Hallmark actors in this film. And turns out Freddie Prinze Jr. is one of the killers because of trauma that the town caused him. So, and even the kills, it's rated R for some reason, but the kills are not creative. They're not like I don't know. The movie was bad, simply bad. So that one angered me quite a bit because the ending just kind of threw away his arc from the first film. But also, who cares? So my number 2 is I Know What You Did Last Summer.
All right. My number 2 is kind of the flip side of War of the Worlds. It's the live action remake of How to Train Your Dragon.
Nice.
This is everything that is wrong with cinema. Mm-hmm. Like, you take a great story, you take a great film in its time and its cultural point, and you make it into this zombified, word for word, shot for shot, but still somehow half an hour longer. By the way, the dragons are still animated. I don't know if you knew that. It's a live action, but they're
not real dragons. Damn.
No, they're not. So it really just like, I said, I'm really glad that War of the Worlds exists. I have no idea why this film exists. It is shameful. It's a money grab, and I think it really gets to the heart of why there is mistrust in theaters and why there's mistrust in movie studios, why there's mistrust in, screenwriters. This was directed by the same guy that did the first one. So, he was probably just given a briefcase full of cash and said, make the thing because we need money. And it's just an insult.
You can probably guess my number one. Can't believe I was forced to watch this at a movie theater. It was because it was at a festival, and that was Sneaks. Speaking about Abomination, this is so bad. This is so bad. It's an animated movie about tennis shoes. I guess that's it. It's about sneakers. I don't know how to explain it. It was depressing watching. It was sad watching. You're like, why did someone make this?
My number one is The Electric State. Millie Bobby Brown, Chris Pratt, Netflixification of films.
Nice.
I think it's the smaller scale version of what's happening with How to Train Your Dragon. Obviously, that's a big studio and released in theaters. This was just slop, dropped on Netflix. But the budget is insane. It's like $250. 330. There you go. I was way off. I was underballing it, and even if it was 250, that'd be insane. This is the reason why films cost so much to make. It's because of streaming services, like ramping up their money laundering machines to be able to pay their CEOs more money because they said, oh, we put this $330 million movie on our streaming service straight away, and it got this many views in the first 6 months, all this kind of stuff. It's kind of in alignment with my concerns with Warner Brothers being acquired by Netflix as well, and just like the way the industry is moving from a building structural perspective.
Glad I didn't see some of those. Those are the worst films on our list. We will now skip over to more positive and the best movies we saw all year. All right. Well, yeah, let me give my 6 through 10 favorite of the year. And at number 10, I do have Sinners. Number 9, I have Companion. Number 8, I have Superman. Number 7, F1. Number 6, Friendship.
So 10 through 6 for me, One of Them Days, Begonia, Warfare, Black Bag, and Eddington.
My number 5 is going to be Knives Out, Wake Up Dead Man. Guys, if you've seen this only once, watch it again. It is so much better the second time. I really like the theme that Rian Johnson put into this movie with faith. With not having faith versus, and he doesn't like go one way or the other. He's not like bashing over your head like this is all fake. He's showing like the benefits of having faith, and he's showing why there's corruption in there. There's definitely some politicking going on with Josh Brolin's character, real life people with his character and cults and what they do when you're following someone that's obviously has their own agenda. And Josh O'Connor, I think, is amazing. So number 5 is Wake Up Dead Man.
My number 5 is Friendship. So I think this is the best comedy, straight up comedy of the decade so far. Mm-hmm. I think you need to go in with a somewhat understanding of Tim Robinson's tastes. And I was really skeptical about how a feature length version of one of his skits essentially was going to play off. And I think it was paced perfectly. I think the jokes had such a subtlety to them and a longevity throughout the film. It wasn't just like, the really quick skit humor of, big hilarious moment surrounded by some other stuff that sort of like set up. It felt really cohesive. And I'm not sure if I buy into the whole, the reason or, the way that people read into it about like male friendship and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure that that's really the intention either.
So yeah, my number 4, thanks for the spoiler alert, is Materialists with Chris Evans, of course. This is one of my favorite rom-coms I've ever seen. Some people don't agree with it as much. I think it's because they didn't really get the marketing of it. They expected something more cheesy and more, typical rom-com. Like, I think this perfectly encapsulates dating nowadays, people's egos nowadays because of the internet. And the struggles that some people might go through. I thought the acting was great, the writing was great, directing was great. So Materialist is my number 4.
My number 4 is Nouvelle Vague, which is one of 2 Netflix films on my top 5. So there you go. I'm not anti-Netflix. I'm saying they can do some good things still, So Nouvelle Vague is this film by Richard Linklater. He had 2 movies out this year.
I never watched it.
It's on Netflix, as I just said. I'm not paid by them. And it's a surrealist but literalist view of how Jean-Luc Godard shot Breathless, which was this great French New Wave film, and just like the start of that movement. And I was thinking about, like, why would Linklater be attracted to this outside of just, a respect of Godard and those films? And he gave an interview and saying like, this is the start of indie filmmaking, essentially. And, you think about what Linklater's done between, Days Confused, the Before trilogy, a lot of the modern stuff that he's like worked on as well. Loved it as a piece of what it is, and loved it for what it represented as well. So number 4 is Nouvelle Vague.
Yeah, coming on my number 3, my guy, Zach Cregger with Weapons. Definitely my favorite horror film of the year. I mean, it's not like it's weird because it's not like it's a terrifying movie, but there's still really creepy scenes in it. I thought the movie had a lot to say. You can take a lot of, I mean, he's being very vague when they're like, oh, is this movie about school shootings? He's like, no, not at all. But you can tell like there's definitely those aspects in the movie, the kid getting bullied, and the fact that they throw in little subtle hints that this witch has been around for over 300 years is wild. So you can do like more research after the movie comes out and stuff. So yeah, my number 3 is Weapons.
My number 3 is Materialists. So we've got 2 Materialist boys on this today. Yeah. So this was advertised as like a pretty straightforward 2000s rom-com, set in New York, and she could have been like a women's magazine editor or something like that. It's going in with this like rom-com sensibility, but it's actually speaking more to the Jane Austens and the Brontes and the E.M. Forsters in how it actually approaches love and romance. And I know a lot of people get on Dakota Johnson for her acting. I think she underacts this perfectly because she kind of needs to be swept along in a way and kind of needs to be receptive rather than driving. Celine Song, she can write and direct anything as far as I'm concerned. She's definitely one of our best at the moment. And I was a little concerned, like going after Past Lives, what this could be, but I was just, completely taken in by it and really loved the way it was viewing a 21st century sense of love and romance. So very romantic at its core in the way that a Celine Song film is, but really interesting of sort of Trojan horsing in as a rom-com and then actually just hitting people over the head with like, you think you know what romance is, this is what romance is, All
right, coming in at number 2, I always talk about rewatchability. I will not rewatch this movie again. That's Warfare. This came out, I think, back in April. But this is such a well-made movie. This, I feel like, really shows the true horrors of what it is being a war. It's not even like an epic, famous battle or anything. It's just a typical day that these guys went through based off stories. And I remember sitting in the movie theater just praying that this movie would end because of the relentless screaming that is just going on and the noises that are going on. You really feel like you're there. So I think it was a terrific job with the directing, especially with the opening scene with the Follow Me song and everything that goes on after that. That's my number 2 is Warfare.
My number 2, you've already mentioned it, is Train Dreams. So this was another Netflix distribution. One of the 2 people that wrote Sing Sing, actually. Greg Quaidar, they sort of, I think, alternate between who directs. So I can't remember who it was that directed Sing Sing, but they switched on and off. They both wrote it again.
They're fully frozen.
Based on a short story. And maybe it's because I've got a kid, I don't know. But this just really affected me from a sense of how time flows and what your purpose is in life. I think there's a lot of films that think they're about that and they just sort of hit you over the head with the theme so often. And there's like an emotional manipulation to it. This felt so much more organic and so much more realistic in the sense of how years can slip away from you.
We got to our number 1s. We'll talk about it and we both know what they are for each other. My number 1 is Marty Supreme. This is legitimately, come to think about it, this is my favorite movie since La La Land. So in the last, this movie blows me away. So, if it's your style of movie, you're going to absolutely love this movie. I know you can compare it a little bit to Uncut Gems, but I think it's just like tenfold Uncut Gems. Every turn the movie takes is wild, and it's just so much anxiety for 2 hours and 25 minutes. And in the last 5 minutes, they just do something that like switches everything up on you that makes you realize like what the movie's truly about. And it was so good. I was just like, oh, what a great message. It wasn't like, because I felt like Uncut Gems was more of just like, this is shitty people. If you're addicted to gambling, shitty stuff's going to happen to you. Like Uncut Gems is good, but I think it's more of a negative like outcome. Marty Supreme is more of, it reminds everyone of when they were younger of I'm chasing my dreams and I don't care if I screw other people over because it's my dreams and this is what I'm meant to do. And then it starts really showing you like the true meaning of life, and you're like, oh, that man, it was great. So yeah, Marty Supreme definitely easily my number one.
My number one is One Battle After Another. Not a surprise to you, obviously. As a huge PTA fan, I was really interested to see how he would follow up Licorice Pizza, which didn't hit me quite the way that other films that he's done have. So my favorite film of all time is Phantom Thread. I think the best, objectively speaking, best film of the decade so far is, There Will Be Blood. He's just a director that has always hit really strong for me. So I was really interested to see how he'd approach this adapting of a Thomas Pynchon novel. And it was just, in a similar way to that Eddington, it was very much of a time, but then also felt kind of timeless. I felt like the fact that it was able to bridge some generational gaps, playing Mo Bamba at a school dance is definitely a choice because, he's got teenage daughters, so I'm sure they helped him to choose some music for that. But I think what it represents from a storytelling perspective isn't something we see all that often. I think it's really unique in how it portrays relationships, how it portrays trauma, and I hate using that word.
Yeah,
because trauma is like a buzzword of 21st century filmmaking, especially like post A24 horror stuff. But just what it means to grow old and to not recognize who you are and to be shaped by decisions you've made in the past that then come back and haunt you. Definitely my favorite. I still obviously need to see a lot, which we've already talked through, but I don't really see anything topping that, if I'm honest, because I feel like this is just one of our best directors working at the highest level.
So I want to thank you everyone for joining on the top best of the year, top worst of the year. Thanks for the whole year. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment. And we will see you in January where there's, I'm sure, great movies coming out.